Tonight, Russia continues to walk all over the United States. Donald Trump is here to explain how he would deal with Vladimir Putin's power play in Syria. Plus,
I'm putting the people on notice that are coming here from Syria as part of this mass migration. If I win, they're going back. They're going back.
The Republican frontrunner will also weigh in on the growing refugee crisis.
This is something we should politicize.
And Governor Mike Huckabee slams President Obama for rushing to politicize the Oregon Community College massacre. Plus, reports the gunman targeted Christians.
He said, good, because you're a Christian, you're going to see God in just about 1 second. And then he shot and killed them.
Our panel goes inside the mind of a madman. Hannity starts right here, right now. Welcome to Hannity. Tonight, we'll have the latest details on the Oregon Community College shooting. We'll explain how the gunman reportedly targeted Christians. We'll have reaction to President Obama's outrageous remarks about the tragedy. But first, Russia continues to embarrass the Obama administration in Syria. Now, Pentagon officials are telling Fox News that Russian forces carried out yet another wave of airstrikes in the war-torn country. And earlier today, the president essentially threw in the towel by saying he's not going to get into a proxy war with Putin. Well, now Russia claims that the move is part of a campaign to defeat ISIS, but Fox News has been reporting that the air raids are hitting non-ISIS targets, including the U.S.-backed rebel forces. And, of course, more conflict in Syria. Well, that likely means more refugees fleeing that country and seeking asylum right here in America. Now, the administration has already announced that it will take in tens of thousands of these migrants. Now, Republican frontrunner Donald Trump does not think this is a very smart idea. Take a look at what he said earlier this week.
I mean, the number I'm hearing, it's inconceivable. You know, it started off with 10,000. The other day I heard 200,000. We're going to take in 200,000 Syrians or wherever they come from. We have no idea. There's no identification. There's no anything. I'm putting the people on notice that are coming here from Syria as part of this mass migration, that if I win, they're going back.
Now, earlier I sat down with Donald Trump to talk about the situation in Russia and Syria, and of course, Russia targeting U.S.-backed forces there. Let's take a look. Let me ask you, under the guise, Vladimir Putin, under the guise of going after ISIS, he didn't attack ISIS and where the high concentration of ISIS fighters are in Syria. He went after U.S.-backed, CIA-trained, CIA-armed anti-Assad forces. In other words, a kind of a proxy attack against the United States. How would you handle that as president?
Well, the only thing I have a problem with is that the rebels, we don't know who they are, Sean. We really don't. I mean, I was talking to a general last week about that, and they have no idea who these people are, where they come from. They might be ISIS for all we know. And, you know, you have Assad, who's a bad guy, but sometimes the bad guy is better than the people we're going to put in. You just have to look at what happened in Libya, what happened in Iraq. And, you know, it's hard to get enthusiastic about backing for billions and billions of dollars, backing people that we have no idea who they are. So they talk about the rebels and the free Syria, but, you know, this has happened to us over the years. We've been scammed by many, many people. And I will say this, you know, Russia will probably be in a quagmire. They'll be stuck in there for years to come. If you remember what happened with them with Afghanistan, that broke up the Soviet Union. They went essentially bankrupt fighting in Afghanistan, and they may very well end up in a quagmire here, too. What's really even more disconcerting, though, is you look at Iran, because we've made them so wealthy now with $150 billion with this stupid deal that was signed, that with all of the other problems, but think of just the money. And now they're going in and they're doing the ground fighting. So you have Russia and Iran that we've driven together. We have had the dumbest foreign policy people maybe ever in recorded history of our country. And it's very sad what's happening. You just look, we're being, you know, we're just being rolled by every country that touches us, every country that sees us.
To what extent should we be concerned about Vladimir Putin's ambition, restoring Russia's influence as both a global power, dominant world power, now gaining influence in an area that they haven't been in since the early 1970s? Shouldn't that be stopped now at this point, considering it's probably going to grow because of the vacuum created by Obama's lack of leadership?
Well, the only problem is you're going to end up in an area that, frankly, I want to see us rebuild the United States. Our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, our airports, everything's falling apart. We owe $19 trillion. Now we'll end up in Syria for the next 20 years like we have in Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean, no matter where we go. And we don't go for victory. You know, we never fight for victory. I think it sort of started with Vietnam. We don't go for victory. We just keep going and going and going. And nothing ever gets won. You know, we used to be the country that never lost a war. Now we never win a war. And you can start with Iraq, and you can start with ISIS, and you can, you know, no matter where you go. So we haven't had the right leaders. We haven't had the right thinking or thought process. But hopefully if I win, that will change, and it'll change quickly, Sean. I do not like our being bogged down, though, in Syria for the rest of our lives. And it looks to me like that could happen. And by the way, that could happen very well to Russia, frankly.
What do you? But what would you do if, like what happened this past week, where you have a Russian general barging into a U.S. military base, ordering America to stop flying their planes in Syria? I don't think Donald Trump would take too well to that.
Well, I'll tell you, it all started this weekend where you had Putin and Obama meeting. And Putin has no respect for our president whatsoever. But it all took place this weekend. They met. A day after they meet, he sends troops in, and Obama knew nothing about it. He sends planes in, really, and Obama knew nothing about it. But what he definitely didn't know about was that Iran was going to be sending troops in. So now you have Iran with the troops, and you have Russia with the airplane, you know, with the planes. And you have a total mess. And Obama knew nothing about it. And then they get word, stay out of here, we're taking over. It's a total lack of respect. And it's over Syria. And it's a terrible situation.
You mentioned,
it should never have gotten this way.
You mentioned that we are now going to take in 200,000 Syrian Iraqi refugees. We see what's happening to Europe. Believe it or not, Germany is now printing their constitution in Arabic for the refugees to learn. Now, our National Intelligence Director, James Clapper, also the State Department, has said that both ISIS and al-Qaeda will infiltrate the refugee population in an attempt to gain access to America. What specifically would you do regarding the refugee crisis?
Well, first of all, I can't believe they're doing what they're doing in Germany, and they're going to have revolutions in Germany because the German people are not exactly thrilled with what's going on. And I will say, I heard 10,000 people in the United States. Then I heard 15. The last number I heard was we're taking in 200,000 people.
That's correct.
Now, we owe all of this money to everybody, from China to Japan to everybody, $19 trillion. We're a mess as a country. We can't do it for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons we can't, I'm watching this migration. I see a lot of men, and I see a lot of strong men, a lot of young, strong men. I don't see a lot of women, and it's very interesting. It could be one of the greatest coups of all time. These men are coming in, and now we're going to start taking 200,000 people. We have no idea where they come from. They could be ISIS. It could be a plot. I mean, I don't want to think in terms of conspiracy, but it could be a plot, or at least a lot of them could be wrong. But we have no idea. They have no credentials. We don't know what we're doing. And we're moving in 200,000. I'm putting, whoever comes in, I'm putting them a notice. We're going to ship them out. The amazing thing is, somebody said to me today, how could you possibly ship them out? You can't ship that many people out. I said, well, they're shipping them in. Why can't we ship them out? I mean, it's so ridiculous. They're actually saying you can't do it because it's too many people. And you know, one other thing.
Yes,
in the
we can, actually. We can.
Well,
could you imagine,
in the 1950s,
our national intelligence is saying that ISIS will infiltrate, and we're still stupid enough to take them in.
They are going to infiltrate. And in the 1950s, Dwight Eisenhower moved 1 million people out, and he moved them out successfully. Now they say we can't do anything. If we take 200,000 people, and they could very well be ISIS, we have no idea who they are, we are absolutely insane. This country is going insane.
And coming up, we'll have more with Donald Trump right after the break. We'll ask him about his standing in the polls, his tax plan. Then former Governor Mike Huckabee is slamming President Obama for politicizing the tragedy in Oregon, the 2016 contender. He'll be here tonight. Plus, reaction to disturbing reports that the gunman targeted Christian students. And also, we'll get in the mind of a madman. Is it a chemical problem or maybe a spiritual problem? Straight ahead.